that I have. The podcast. Hello, my name is Bob Ganzak, and this is MotivationU, the podcast, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, inside the Coach's Podcast Room, right here at Celebration Point in Gainesville, Florida. If you've ever headed down or up I-75, exit 384, get off, go west, young man, go west, and you will find Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. It's an incredible restaurant. I was talking to my friend Freddie, who was sharing with me, and you may have seen on maybe his site, if you follow Freddie at all, that they have just been absolutely sold out. I mean, every single seat. So call ahead for reservations and make sure you get here. This is an incredible place to enjoy yourself. We graduated a class last night in Lake City, Florida. We had our class took place at Lake City Hospital, and it was absolutely incredible. Another large group of professionals, many of them in the medical industry this time, and it was absolutely amazing to watch the growth. And I just absolutely loved doing that. So we have a class coming up here in Gainesville. Starts May 16th, and you can register at jacksonville.dalecarnegie.com, and you just go find a course, scroll down the Gainesville one, click on that, and you can register right online. It's really simple. We're in week 3 in Jacksonville. We have classes coming up in Tallahassee, up in South Georgia. We'll do another one in Lake City. So a lot of things going on, a lot of great opportunities to grow. And that's the key. My guest today is not a stranger to this program. He's been with us, I think, 3 times already. And this would be your 4th time coming here.
Three or four.
3 or 4. Jose Araven of Cybertree. And we're going to talk today about basically what it's like to be a young entrepreneur. What are the things that you go through? What is your schedule like? What is a day like in the life of an entrepreneur? What are the things that you want to look out for? What are the challenges? What are some of the obstacles that you have to navigate? And we'll discuss all of that in the next hour here. So welcome, Jose. Glad you're here.
Bob. Thank you. It's an honor to be here all the time. And I'm excited to learn more about that schedule and routine. I have a lot to learn.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to break down with you today is, and you know, if we can adjust some things, great. I want to know what an hour in the life of an entrepreneur is like, what a day is like, what a week is like, what a month is like, what a year is like. I mean, really, what are the, sometimes being in the business you're in, it doesn't matter what you do. When you're in business for yourself, it's kind of like the waves in the ocean. They just keep on coming, and you get that little respite when they go out, but then they crash back in, and they go out and they crash back in, and that's what it's like being an entrepreneur. It's a never ending. It's not like we can hit a pause button on the ocean.
I wish.
Right?
I wish.
Even when it's the calmest of calm days, there's still waves rolling in, and that is, very similar to what your life is like. So, tell me, what is, as you prepare for an upcoming week, let's say it's Sunday afternoon and you're already mentally thinking about your upcoming week, what are the things that you plan, and how do you attack a week?
So what I do, I have a system that I've been running since almost a year now consistently, and every Sunday I go to my laptop. I have the OneNote program software,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and I have every 2 weeks I create a new page with every day, and then I have a list of all the tasks that I can imagine. I just write everything there as it comes. Sometimes I do it on paper. I write them down, and then I move them to the OneNote, and then I start distributing the tasks on every day. All the meetings, I put them on the OneNote, and that's what keeps me sane because I wouldn't have any idea of all the different things and the things that I don't have to do them. So that's the main thing. And when I was in school, I had to do them, so I know these were the different things I had to do. But now I have to come up with the things that I think I should be doing. Or advices, and then I put them there, and then I have to do them.
Yeah. So, one of the big challenges that I see, being in business for myself also, is prioritizing. What do I want to do first? What do I need to do first? How do you prioritize your day?
Yeah. So it's part of the same. So when I do it in paper, it's because it's a lot. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I need to put it all on paper. I write everything, like bullet points of everything, and then I circle the most important ones, and then I get a highlighter, and then I highlight the most important ones then inside of the most important ones, and then that's how I start planning.
So when you're picking the most important ones, what is the criteria that you use that makes that most important? Which are the ones that you move to the top, and why do you move those to the top?
So I think the first one that comes to mind is clients. Whatever I have to do for clients that I have deadlines to do, that's always first. Then I would say at the same level, the team. So making sure that the team has their list of whatever they have to do, they should do that week. Make sure that they can be running smoothly without me having to be there over their shoulder. So I think those two are the main ones, clients and then team, and then I have the business itself.
So the overall, seeing the business. One of the things that we were talking right before we went live is that, just like updating your LinkedIn page, and I was saying you need to update that. Yeah. Yet you said it's on your list. And one of the things that we have to be careful of is that we don't put some of our structural, real important things at the bottom.
It is at the bottom.
Yeah. But we need to take care of ourselves first, because that's a big part of branding who you are.
Yeah.
So you got to move that up to the top. Let's just take your clients, and you don't have to mention their names if you don't want to, but do you categorize your clients? Do you have, I used to, when I sold advertising, I used to make A, B, C clients. My A clients were clients that were on the air. Those were people that I was doing something with at that time, and they were actually, I had to check their copy, make sure that it was updated and that everything was going well, and check with them to see what their store traffic was like. And so those were my A clients. My B clients were somebody that I felt probably could be advertising with us in the next 30 days. They were like on the edge of doing that, so there were certain tasks. And then the C clients were more projects down the road. Do you do anything like that with your clients?
I should be doing it, but I just put the tasks. So whenever on my list, the OneNote, I just put like client A, and then I put everything I have to do that has to be done for that client. I do have like a database that I'm starting to work on where there's like literally A, B, C, and each of them means something. But I have to dedicate more. I wanna build that more. So
yeah, because what you want to be able to sit back and take a picture at all of your prospects, everybody that you're working with, and back when I was doing radio, we didn't have the CRMs that we have today, like Salesforce and different apps and companies that support us in the sales world. And I find for myself, even now, that I revert back to my old ways, my antiquated system of paper, and I need to let the software work for me. I need to do a better job of that. But you want to be able to look back at, take a view of what your business is, and where are all your clients in proportion to what you're doing today. What are the ones I need to work on today, and it's really important to touch base with, because the only way you're going to develop new business is to have a rapport or communication with those individuals. And sometimes it just gets overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Have you felt that in your own world?
Yeah, definitely.
So what is a day like in Jose's world? Get up in the morning, what do you get up? Do you have breakfast, cup of coffee? Do you work out? What is it like to be an entrepreneur in 2023? Give me a snapshot of a typical Jose day.
Yeah. And it's also an online entrepreneur, so I don't have an office, so it's also different because of that. So the ideal routine, which I do the most, is waking up between 5 and 6. I love when I wake up at 5, but sometimes it's just hard to go to sleep early. I go to jump the rope right away, 15 minutes, and I listen to an audiobook or a seminar or something on YouTube or Audible. Then I go, before I leave, I put a breakfast, oatmeal, on the stove. Then I jump the rope 15 minutes, come back, read a little bit while the oat is ready. Then I have the oat as a breakfast, and then I get a coffee, sit down to work. I usually have the week planned on Sunday, but if I don't, or if I'm overwhelmed, I get a paper and I write everything that comes to mind, see what's the most important, and I start working. And then I have to do a better job of managing my foods every day, like breakfast, lunch, or whatever. Sometimes I have lunch like at 4, sometimes I have at 1, sometimes I have at 12. So I gotta work more on that. I've been trying fasting too, so doing like the very good breakfast and then kind of like a lunch, dinner. So we're working on that part. And then usually meetings, they vary. Sometimes I have meetings in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. And then that's always moving around. Whenever I don't have meetings, I just block my time and work from home all day. So yeah, that's kind of, then I wish I would go to bed earlier so that I can sleep well and get up early. So yeah, that's.
When are you at your prime mental, when is it during the day that, where you're the sharpest? Some people it's early in the morning, some people it's later in the afternoon. When are you mentally your sharpest?
I think it's in the morning.
Yeah.
Before the sunrise. It's always super clear, super, like, I can think really, really clear. And
I've talked to people that are writers and that do a lot of writing, and they've found windows where they write. If they're writing songs or writing a book or just a blog, they find windows when they know that their mental capacity is at its peak. And I think that's important for all of us to try to find when that is for ourselves, and then do the tasks that we need to do at that time.
yeah,
Like creatively, for myself, mornings are best.
yeah, me too.
Though I like afternoon phone calls. I'm really, late afternoon Zoom calls or phone calls seem to be, where I feel best at that. But trying to find out and categorizing each one of those is sometimes difficult. Where, like, your interaction with your team, how many people do you have on your team?
Full-time too.
Okay, but you have some part-time individuals too that do work for you also. How many of those do you have?
It's like 5.
Okay. And how do you, because their schedule may be different than yours, how do you coordinate your schedule with their schedule? Does it run off your schedule, or does your schedule run off their schedule?
It's basically on my schedule, so we have a weekly meeting, and we set it up together, so whatever is most convenient for both of us.
And CyberTree is a growing company. What exactly do you do, and what is the part of your company that takes the most part of your time?
So what we do is we help businesses grow their online presence and achieve their goals, whatever their goals are. If they want more awareness, or they want to find more customers, communicate a message or a promotion. So we help them find out what's the best strategy to accomplish those goals using digital marketing. And then I think the hardest part is right now, because it changes all the time.
Yeah.
So I think right now is delegation, having the same standards, the same process, just working very in a smooth way, the whole team keeping everything updated. I think that's the main challenge right now.
Jose, if I'm not mistaken, your brother works for you, doesn't he? A little bit?
No.
No, he doesn't. Okay. The people that do work for you, what is your interaction with them, and how do you manage that?
So it's the weekly meetings. That's kind of, because we're also separate. We're apart, so we cannot do any in-person kind of like interactions during the day. So it's only a weekly meeting, deadlines and processes set up, and that's basically how we do it.
Do you communicate with them during the week when you don't have your formal meetings and
Every now and then.
So what is the biggest challenge that you have as far as your employees? Because a lot of us, we grew up working in brick and mortar buildings, where we got up in the morning, did whatever we did, our workout, breakfast, cup of coffee in the vehicle on the way to the office. Got to the office, there was the chitter chatter around the water cooler and more wasted time, and then you punch in at 8, but you don't start working until 9:15, and so what is that like now when everybody is remote? How do you coordinate that?
That's why it's the struggle, because it's from what I'm learning and listening, is I have to set really, really clear expectations, deadlines, processes, so that everything is crystal clear. And because one of the values that we have is that we want to work at our own schedule. We got to get the work done, but we can do it at our own schedule. And so that's why I think I need to have all those expectations and processes for anything that happens really, really clear.
So everything basically goes through you. The creative process, do you do it as a team process and when it comes to creativity, or is it pretty much each individual comes up with their own thoughts and ideas and then kind of goes through a clearinghouse of having the meeting after the creative, or is it before you collaborate on the creative?
Yeah, it's more coming up with the ideas, brainstorming ideas separately, and then we discuss them together after it's all laid out.
So you've gone through the Dale Carnegie program, and what are some of the leadership principles that you have put into your daily routine of working with your team?
Asking questions is a big one that I'm working on. I like to do it. It makes everything work instead of just saying you got to do this. Asking, hey, what do you think you should do? What could we do? That's a big one. This is not like a leadership specifically, but listening, becoming interested, finding out what the other person wants, and then tying our strategy and process to that so that we can all kind of get closer to what we want instead of what I want or what the company needs.
So, you came here from Venezuela as a teenager.
Yeah.
And you're not that far away from being a teenager still. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not like an old grizzled veteran here. What has been the biggest hurdle, other than speech, other than language barrier? What has been the biggest hurdle to becoming an entrepreneur here in America when you've only been in the country for like 3, 4, 5 years?
It's the imposter syndrome.
What is that?
That's when you feel like an imposter. Like I feel, how can I be doing this? Why am I here at this meeting? Why am I here at this podcast? Like who am I to be here talking about business if I'm young? That's kind of the mindset that had me struggle the most. I feel way better with that, but that was like the main. I think that's the main struggle in the way to being a young entrepreneur for me.
So it basically was, I don't deserve this.
Yeah, not good enough for this.
Wow. We're now, again, we didn't mean for this to be a coaching hour. But you can spin that around too. There are things that you have that, like, I don't, I don't have the worldly experience of seeing what another country is like and living and learning and growing in a place like Venezuela, which you did not grow up in the most, modern region of Venezuela. So you can draw on that experience to share things with your clients
Yeah.
that a lot of people in this country can't do. So can you shift your mind that way and start thinking of, like, I have something, now I don't mean to be arrogant, but I have something that you don't have. You know, you have something that I don't have, you know?
Yeah, and that's also the balance that I've been working on not being, because I used to be arrogant. I was the 4.0 student, straight A, scholarship. I was like, perfect, I'm perfect. And then from there, I started to realize, oh, I gotta be humble. You know, I gotta recognize the positive in others. I'm not perfect, I'm not the best, or whatever I thought at that moment in my life. And then I went all the way to the other side, which is insecurity. I'm not enough to be here. What am I doing? You know, and then so I'm finding the balance of being able to connect with others, recognize their positives, their strengths, and connecting in those points, and also recognizing my strengths and what I've done and what I can do.
That's pretty interesting. You know, it's difficult for us when we lose our mojo, right? You know, and you had that, and then you felt like you were being overly confident, or, you know, arrogant, as you refer to it as. And then when you lose that, it's hard to get it back. It's hard to find that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
What did you do in order to regain that?
So it's a lot of reading and listening to interviews, seeing how very successful people think, being around people like you, listening to how you think, what's your thought process, writing it all down and tailoring it to how I can put it into words that will put me in that mindset.
You know, I think back, there was a time back in the early 90s, there was a young man that I was trying to teach a baseball pitch to. And one of the challenges that he had was that he kept on saying, I can't do this. You know, I can't do this. And I shared with him that it took me 10, 12 years to be able to throw that way all the time. You know, it was a knuckleball, but to be able to throw that all the time. But there was trial and error that went through in that process. And as a leader, or as a coach or a mentor, what you're able to do is help somebody else eliminate some of the trial and error. Like, basically in that, there's 3 elements that go into throwing that. You know, your grip and your arm angle and then the speed of it. So I practiced all those things, so I was able to help that individual say, you can back it off a little bit. But sometimes being an entrepreneur is like entering a tunnel that you don't know how long it is. You know, and you enter into this dark tunnel and you start going down it, and you don't know if there's a light at the end. You know, you don't know if it comes out someplace else. So a lot of people turn back. But when you can find somebody or listen to those books or tapes, it kind of gives you the confidence that there is something at the end. There is an end to this. There is a place where it comes out into a bright, beautiful place. How are you tackling that challenge? Where do you know that the end is, that you're going to get to that point where you can say to yourself, hey, I'm successful?
Yeah, so when I started, I was in Indiana in an internship. Hated that internship, like the experience, I didn't like it, wasn't for me. And I started read Think and Grow Rich. That was a book that made me think a lot. And I said, okay, I gotta start this, I gotta do this right now. Like I've wasted time, I'm gonna start this and I'm gonna finish it like right now. So I started working on reading and started building websites and buying courses and just doing everything during the whole day. And I thought, like, in like 4 or 6 months, I can have a successful business.
Yeah.
And so I was just running. I remember I had this like anxiety and stress that I couldn't even breathe. I was like, I need to get this done like right now. Like it was like a task. And so I thought I was gonna get out of the tunnel, and it's all good.
I want to pick up on that when we come back from the break, because I really want to draw on what your reserve is, and we'll talk about that. This is Motivation U, the podcast. We're coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, inside the Coach's Podcast Room at Celebration Point in Gainesville, Florida. But we'll be right back.
We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Looking for more reasons to celebrate? We have them here at Celebration Point. Enjoy some of the newest additions to our already celebratory lineup, like Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, and Prime and Pearl. There's always a reason to celebrate. Join us anytime for any occasion. Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate.
At Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with Motivation U, the podcast. My guest today is Jose Raven of CyberTree. And, Jose talked a little bit right before the break about the arrogance and the insecurity. But let me share it. This young man left Venezuela, came here all by himself to go to engineering school, and then shifted in middle of the road.
Almost getting closer to the end.
Yeah, you were close to to graduating.
Yeah.
And then shifted, which I don't think your mom and dad were really happy about, but we can discuss that at another time. Shifted to go into business for himself. And the courage it takes to do that is amazing. What was the thought process? Was it the time at Cummins in the engineering internship that made you want to go away from it? What was it that shifted your path along the way?
So it was my dream goal was getting that job, Fortune 500 internship, that was like what I lived for. And when I got it, I didn't like it at all. So I started reading, and the books made me think a lot. I realized I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had no idea. I realized the goal I had wasn't really my goal. I really didn't like it. And it just didn't move me anymore. And so my parents are entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So there's a lot of entrepreneurship also in Venezuela. Most people are entrepreneurs too. It's more normal there. And so it was natural. Like I realized this is what now I go back and I see my essays of applying, and I was like, I want to study industrial engineering because I want to learn how to manage a business and start my own business.
So you were going into the engineering in order to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it about the internship that turned you off? Was it the structure? Was it the company? Was it, and not to denigrate the company, because that's not the intention.
Yeah.
But this is about Jose. What was it about that experience that turned you off?
So it wasn't what I expected. Like I worked really hard to get those A's and hundreds in my exams and understand everything to the detail and do like everything I could to be the best on all the classes that I would take. And I was expecting something more, I don't know, something more like where I had more independence to apply everything that I've been learning. And so I realized that the path where I was not really giving me that freedom to explore and apply what I learned in different areas. And so that was the main thing. I wanted to find something else that moved me, because I didn't have any other goal that moved me
At that time?
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things that is a big challenge with people that were in your situation, and I know I hired a lot of interns in the radio business, and you know, they probably came in with the thought process of, I'm going to be on the air, you know, I'm going to be a disc jockey, you know. And what they did is they set up for remotes. They moved vans around. They washed vans. They did the grunt work, because as a business owner, you know, you want people that understand all parts of it. So, you know, to come in and just say, you know, I want to be the engineer. I want to use what I learned in school, and you know, they would have been doing you a disservice if they did that, because you respect everybody more. It's probably an overstatement, in my opinion. You respect everybody more when you've lived that life. You know, I can remember I went to broadcast school after I graduated from college, and Dick Kernan, may he rest in peace, big mentor of mine. Dick told us in class, whatever they ask you to do, do it. If they want you to take out the trash, take out the trash. If they want you to sweep the floor, sweep the floor. If they want you to work on the weekends, work on the weekends. Whatever they ask you to do, do it. And, you know, that's a big challenge. So if I would have been coaching you back there, we may have had a different view on that. You know?
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I don't want to criticize, but it was a bad culture where I was.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a detail that I have to, you know, put on the table, because it wasn't that I was like, hey, I don't want to do anything that you're telling me about. Like, I don't want to go into detail, but it wasn't a good culture.
Yeah, that can be a difficult situation when you walk into something like that. Now, your mom and dad are, as you said, are entrepreneurs. What is it that they do? Because I think they're pretty darn successful, because all they ever do is travel and eat food and have, you know, these incredible experiences. What is it that they do, and have they been doing that for a long time?
Yeah, Yeah, they sell furniture, so they have a franchise. It's a brand from Brazil, and they have another brand from Denmark. And so they buy the furniture and sell it in Venezuela.
Okay.
And they've been doing it for a long time, more than 10 years.
Do they have their own storefront? Is it
Mhm.
so? Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And now they moved to Caracas, to the capital. They started their store there, so they're shifting.
So
Well, they've been shifting for more than a year.
the old store was where?
In Maracaibo, in our hometown.
Okay. The difference in spending power in the two?
Everything. It's,
Okay.
it's just deteriorating. My city is it getting worse all the time.
And so now they're in Caracas and more competition, but more
Yeah.
people too, right? What have you been able to draw from their experience that helps you in your company and organization?
The main thing is my mom, she strives for excellence, to understand everything. She doesn't like conform with barely understanding something. She wants to really get a grasp on whatever she does. And so that's the main thing that really has helped me. Whatever I listen to or I'm trying to learn, I really want to understand the whole thing. So
Okay, and what is your dad's role in the company and what is your mother's role in the company?
my mom is, well, they both wear many hats. My dad is more operations, so logistics and taking care like of the transportation of furniture, the imports, doing all the legal stuff, and my mom is more management of the team, sales, being with the clients, supervising the designers and architects.
All right. You knew there was a reason for me asking those questions, right? So which parent are you more like? Are you the logistics person or are you the flamboyant sales motivational person?
So I'm more the analytic. I feel I got a little bit of both. So I'm not really very similar to either. I have like a mixture of their values.
Okay. That's difficult though, because imagine, if there was just one of your mom and dad doing both ends, that would not be as successful as they are. But they play off of each other so well.
Yeah.
So how do you have to take one side or the other? Which side are you going to take? The operations side, the analytical side, the building the site side, or are you going to be that person that is the face of the company, the organization that's out in the public all the time? You can't do both.
Yeah. So the position I see ideal for me is the analytical part, making sure that the service is as best as it can be and always improving, and then managing the team. But I want to have, and I'm hiring right now, I'm in the process of hiring someone to be outside selling and facing the clients and just doing that social work all the time, because that's what's really another struggle. I'm shifting from the social meeting, going out, talking to people, meeting people, and then going back to the analytical, being in the computer. So it's not, drives me crazy, like just changing the mindset from one to the other during every day of the week. So yeah.
One of the difficult things of that, and people sometimes miss out on this point, and I see it a lot with the teams that I work with, and especially the entrepreneurs that I get to work with, like yourself. We all have the same amount of time. It doesn't matter how many hats you wear, the time doesn't stretch.
Yeah.
You know, so something's got to give, and you know, you can't make 26 hours out of a day. It's only 24, and it doesn't matter if there's like your mom and dad. You have two people that are maximizing their potential every single day for the company. With you, you're not able to maximize your potential because you're taking that same block of time and splitting it up. I know, I do the same thing because there's the development of the classes, and then there is the training of the classes and doing the talks and the workshops and the seminars, and then there's the educational side of it that I need to keep up with to stay on top of what I do, and then there's the business side of it, where you know somebody has to sit down and really steer the ship,
Yeah.
and that's very difficult.
Yeah, I do have Marcela. She helps me a lot, but still there's so many other hats that I keep on wearing. So I do have the support by my side, but not as in the whole business as my parents do.
What has been the key for you to bring your confidence back up?
My mindset, finding out my values too. That was and I'm still finding them out and working on them, but I had no idea of what I really valued, what traits and things I valued the most. And so that's what I've been working on. I didn't even know what being humble meant. So I had to look for definitions, read a book, and see how can I apply this to my life. And so just having my values clear, now I know I want to serve. I want to add value to other people's lives. I want to build other people. I want to get interested, see their positive points, help them. I know that obviously will take care of my problems. And I don't do it as a self-interest way of being, but it's just the way that I'm the happiest. And also my problems are solved. So
I gotcha. Well, when you went through the Dale Carnegie class, who else was in the class with you, the very first one that you went through?
I don't, like I have it all
Was that
mixed.
Doreen's class?
No.
No, okay. Because I remember I got, you registered online, and I got this registration, and it was like Jose Raven, edu, dot UFL, and I called you on the phone, and to hear this eager young student that was so focused on getting into that program and so excited about it, that
Yeah.
was amazing. What drove you as a college student to seek that out the way you did?
It's a book. I read the book like 3 times, and then I summarized it, and I started trying to apply it. And then I realized there was a course, and then that was like, I have to do this course because I've read this book. It's totally different from how I live, and I just want to learn more. And so, yeah.
What was the biggest aha moment for you when you from reading the book versus going through the program?
Is putting it in practice. I would put it in practice kind of like when I was in Indiana, I did for a few days that I would smile to everyone I saw. So I was just smiling to everyone, and I realized everyone was smiling back. And it was awesome, but that was like very little experiments that I did. Then in the course, it was like every day. And so that was the huge shift.
What was your favorite principle? Which one out of the human relations principles did you... we all got our favorites, right?
Yeah, I think it's become genuinely interested in the other person.
Wow. What was it about that shifted you? Because when as you're self-proclaimed, you were very arrogant. To become genuinely interested in somebody isn't something that you would normally have been doing. So what was it about that?
It's because I would talk about myself all the time when I would have a conversation. I didn't ask questions. It was just about myself. So I didn't really connect with a lot of people, only the people that asked me questions and that loved me enough to have those conversations with me about me. And so I was disconnected from people. That made me insecure. I wasn't able to meet people for the first time, like introduce myself to somebody. I would have a friend introduce me, and I didn't really develop those relationships. And when I started becoming genuinely interested in others, I realized that conversations were super easy. I was welcome everywhere. I was learning. I was connecting. I was feeling good. I was feeling happy. And that was a huge shift. And I still go back to the old ways sometimes. But whenever I come back and start applying it again, everything just works out perfectly, right away.
How do you realize when you know you've fallen back into bad habits?
So I feel disconnected. I feel insecure. I feel like I don't really want to go to that meeting. What am I going to say? Why would they meet with me and give me their time? That's when I'm thinking about me, and I'm not thinking, how can I help this person? What research can I bring him or her? What questions can I ask?
Wow.
Finding out about what they want, what they need, instead of thinking about me.
How about in your, shifted outside of your business world, how about in your personal relationships with individuals? You know, where does that?
Yeah, it's same. I think same thing. Whenever I become interested, I have improved my relationships with my family, with my friends. Just a call and being interested, how are you doing? Seeing if there's something I can help with. It feels so good after having those conversations. So it improves everything, all the relationships.
You know, I've noticed one of the things that I spend a lot of time with Jose in classrooms, in meetings. He comes to a lot of the events that I'm involved in, and I sit back and watch the way he navigates the room, and he does an amazing job. I remember when you came to the young professionals group at the Chamber of Commerce here in Gainesville, and just how you came into that room not knowing anybody, and you walked out of that room with friends. You know, now you would not have done that in the past. I mean, you wouldn't really have cared about anybody.
I would be scared also, because I didn't know how to connect.
And you know, just watching you navigate that room was really cool. And then you came back to a lunch and learn too that we did, and same thing. You know, and most of those individuals at the lunch and learn, you know, were twice as old as you or 3 times as old as you, and it didn't even slow you down.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
So what is your mindset going into those meetings when you walk through that door and you know, I know nobody here, I know everybody is probably, you know, a lot older than me? What is your mindset when you walk into that room?
It's curiosity is what I've made it. I want to be. I used to have. We were talking about this today in Venezuela. All the country, I think, or at least where I lived, there's a lot of stereotypes, and I think all over the world, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
But there's like really like, where did you study? You know, if you went to this school, then I'll talk to you. If you went to this one, I won't. That kind of thing. And so I was stereotypical. I had a lot of stereotypes. So I would see someone and I would already be guessing how their life is. I would listen to an answer to one of my questions, and I would start making this story up in my mind. And so I realized with the course, seeing the stories of other people that were strangers to me, the stories that moved me, that made me almost cry in tears, and that was like, we all have a story, we all have a dream, we all have, we're all striving, we're all doing our best. And so that's my mindset. I want to find out about every person that I meet when I'm at my good. But obviously I fall back a lot. But that's my mindset. I want to find out what other people want, what they're doing, what they value, what they like, what moves them. And it just makes me happy, makes me learn, makes me connect.
You know, one of the traits that I encourage, you know, parents to instill in their kids, you know, after you give them the love and all of the support and everything else, is that positive curiosity. You know, that positive curiosity of discovery. You know, and you know, sometimes we think of that as, you know, research or anything else. Yet it's getting to know other people. You know, it's really, you know, trying to find out what makes other people tick. You know, and not from a grilling them, just, you know. I love the same thing. You know, I love to meet people and find out what their journey is. What's their story? I mean, I heard you and Jared, our producer, talking beforehand, and just listening to the two of you talk, I started learning more about Jared, and I've been around him now, you know, for weeks and weeks. And I learned just from listening to your conversation about dancing and different things that he's had in his life and his journey. So we don't all have the right questions to ask, you know, but you obviously had some good questions to ask. So that's a learning experience from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite principle is probably asking questions instead of giving direct orders. I just absolutely love that, because, you know, giving direct orders has a negative connotation to it, yet the asking questions is so powerful because it helps people grow. You know, if it's an employee, a child, a friend, when you can ask them questions that makes them come up with solutions and answers to their own problems. Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah.
How do you do with criticize, condemn, or complain? That's the first principle. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. How do you do with that?
Now I identify myself in my mind. Like, I try to not do it in speaking, never, but even in my mind. Like, if I start judging someone, or I see something and I start judging, and I'm like, shut up. Like, you have no idea of what you're doing, you know, stop judging someone else. Like, if God comes here and judges me, I'm a mess. And when I start judging other people and I do it in my mind, then I get that self-judgment myself. I start judging myself and my results and what I'm doing based on the same level that I'm judging others. So I just delete it, because I know it also harms me.
I will say, as being an instructor for Dale Carnegie, I wished Mr. Carnegie would have split those 3 C's into 3 different principles. Because I've worked pretty good on criticizing. I've pretty much eliminated that from my, the complaining side of it, I'm getting better. The condemning side, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. So, you know, somebody says something to me or does something, I might not say out loud at that time what I'm thinking. I might not criticize them at that point. But as I walk away, like you, what's going on up here isn't good. You know? Yeah. So I wished that those were 3 separate principles, so that I could say, well, I'm doing pretty good at 2 of them.
Yeah.
But because they're not 3 I struggle with number one. You know, I really do. And as an entrepreneur, you've got to eliminate that from your vocabulary, because the person that you're criticizing today might be your best prospect tomorrow. We got 30 seconds left. In 10, 15 seconds, give me your abbreviated elevator talk for CyberTree.
Abbreviated. So we at CyberTree, we specialize on online marketing. We want to listen to your story, we want to listen to what you want to accomplish, and we want to help you find out what's the best strategy to accomplish your goals using online marketing.
Awesome. Jose, thank you for being here again.
Thank you.
From Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, this has been Motivation U, the podcast.